The way my dad emailed me, he didn't even say like proud of you or anything. It was just like not.
Do you guys know who Elle Mills is?
She's one of the best storytellers on the internet.
My new favorite YouTuber.
Hello. This is Elle Mills.
Hi, I'm Elle Mills.
A YouTube star turned film director with 1.7 million subscribers who took the internet by storm with her unique blend of humor, vulnerability, and creativity.
She is someone who I think is pushing the boundaries of YouTube.
Elle Mills.
Elle Mills?
Elle Mills. Elle Mills.
Have you discovered Elle Mills yet?
Elle fucking Mills!
It was really traumatic. It feels like I've spent the past year or two trying to like block out what that year made me feel.
So unfucking happy!
Is there something you would want to tell to that version of Elle?
Welcome to Creator Confessions, comfortably uncomfortable conversations with creators on a couch.
Hello!
How are you feeling? You comfortable?
I am very comfortable.
Yeah? When we were on our way here, we're like, let's see what other interviews Elle has done. And we're like, oh, Impulsive, Colin and Samir, being featured by Casey,
Big fan here.
New York Times. But now, this is the pinnacle
This is the
of
best of the best. No, you guys, honestly, you guys are very comforting.
Well, let's see about that. Elle will be answering 3 questions, one from each jar of increasing degrees of vulnerability. If Elle chooses not to answer, there will be a very severe punishment. You have to do a 30-second High School Musical full rendition of any song of your choosing.
Okay.
For the lovely audience.
This is really cool. Okay.
Okay?
I feel like I'm just gonna end up doing that eventually, but yes.
We'll do it with you as well, you know, because we're
Level
1.
What's the most difficult aspect of having a career on YouTube that not enough people talk about? I think it's playing like a version of yourself online, I think the tricky part is growing with your online persona. When I first started making YouTube videos, I was a teenager. So I was very extroverted. I was more down to do things I probably wouldn't be down to do now as an adult. At a certain point, it felt like I was growing up but playing my teenage version of myself. So, and that was very disorienting, and people would meet me and like, oh, you're kind of different. And then it would be like this, like, who am I?
So did you feel trapped in young Elle persona?
I did. I feel like young Elle persona worked on YouTube. Young Elle did crazy things, you know? And so it worked for the algorithm. And I felt like I didn't know how else to transform, because the way I wanted to transform, I didn't think would be good for my YouTube career specifically. I feel like it forced me to look in the direction I wanted to go. And even though it was like the harder direction and the scarier direction, it was like, I think, the pivot I needed to make.
I don't want my life to be the product anymore.
How long do you think you had this sense that it was time for you to move away from YouTube?
Looking back right now, I'm like, I did a lot of little things. Like I made a second channel to start making like less like pranky videos and just like about my life. And then I think it was the pandemic that really like everything just stopped. I had no choice but to stop because a lot of my videos revolved around like other people. It was just like an interesting time of like really sitting with myself and thinking, what do I want to do long term here? And that's when I wrote my short film, and I sat on it for another year. YouTube is my livelihood. Like it's still like just an online career is how I make money. It was like a scary thing to come to that conclusion that I needed to step away. The feeling I felt about my directing career is the exact feeling I felt about when I wanted to become a YouTuber. It was just a slight switch when I was like, okay, I think it's time, I gotta do this. And I have this like fire under me where I know no matter what, I'm gonna make it happen, so.
You were so excited about the directing path. Did that make it easier for you to close the YouTube chapter?
Yeah, for sure. I feel like there was a lot of trauma I went through with my YouTube career. It's very disorienting career at times. I think it's like almost a little Black Mirror-y. You know what I mean? It's like, it's my real life, you know? And it's, people are commenting on it. There are very real consequences in my relationships that I'm still dealing with to this day because of my YouTube pranks. It is like a reality show in a way. And I think there's something dangerous with that though. If you are the producer of your own life, it's like, who are you willing to like make a product out of in your life?
You actually feel like you put people in situations just for the video? Is that what you're referring to?
Yeah. Like this is an old example. Something I forgot I did, but what forgot happened was I had 2 friends. They were dating for years and they broke up like 2 weeks before I decided to set them up on a double blind date where I set them up with different people, but they went on the date together.
What?
And so for me, I'm like, oh, this is gonna get views. But I'm like, in my head, I'm like, oh my God, I can't believe that was so insensitive. I was a teenager though. I feel guilty for enabling it and like taking advantage of that. There's just like things like that throughout my whole career where I'm like, that's real. That's their real life.
Even with our friends, like there was a point where we were just so overworked, where at one point we were like, if we see our friends and do something where we can film with our friends, then we can spend more time with them and our family. But then there's this whole dilemma of we can't just film ourselves on holiday. Like something has to be interesting here. And there's always something a bit weird lingering under the surface of like, we're bringing our friends and our family and putting them out there, you know, they're a product of this story that we're trying to create.
At the heart of it, it's something innocent and actually really wholesome and pure. But there's the business side of it that makes it very, I don't know, this other beast. So it's like a weird.
Yeah. How are you feeling after the first question?
That was good. This is level 1? I'm so curious. How do you think that's going?
Really shitty.
All right.
Have you ever felt like you disappointed yourself? Why? Oh yeah, a lot. To think of one, I think it's coming back to the same theme. I think like relationships, I guess.
Cool.
I see this underlying theme of like importance of relationships in your life.
Yes, no, yeah. I'm very work driven. Like work has always been the number one thing in my life. I recently just got in a relationship. It was my first serious relationship. Thank you. Smooth. But we're both like that. We're both very, like, our whole lives, I feel like work has been the number one. And so through her, I've also been more conscious of relationships in my life and balancing with work. Yeah.
Interesting. Do you ever feel disappointed in the sacrifices that you've had to make because you're so work driven or not?
Right now, I'd say because I'm so tunnel vision about my directing career and like writing my movie, I feel like my relationships have suffered, and I've definitely talked about that in therapy. I just feel very disconnected because my brain is only thinking about that. I'm like, every day I wake up and so I'm only thinking about that because I'm not where I want to be. And so that's all I can think about. And sometimes I wonder, I'm like, am I not nourishing my relationships enough? I don't know, my therapist has also said I'm just like in a healing process and it's like a phase, so I'm taking her word for it. So we'll see.
Have you made any progress?
I'm the same. I feel I have 100% a tunnel vision on work. I think about it a lot. Am I gonna regret this if I project myself to 80-year-old version of me, look back and say, was all the hard work really worth it? I don't know. I struggle with that a lot because part of me feels happiest when I'm with people, when I'm, just connecting with Rach or with my friends. But then there's this other part of me that has this strong drive to just achieve and do things that are great. And I'm still trying to battle as well with what is actually right? What is gonna be the thing that's gonna lead me to feel most fulfilled at the end of my life?
I feel like it's a mix of both, and I think the biggest thing I've always struggled with is balance and moderation. I'm very all or nothing.
What is that drive, that want to achieve comfort for you? What does it stem from?
No, I've thought about this a lot. I think my therapist has said.
Like, we should just invite your
I
therapist
know,
here.
honestly. I'm just trying to get to the bottom of this. I think growing up with my parents, my mom was Filipino, so I feel like there's this aspect with her where it was like, when I came back with like a 95% on a test, it would be like, why isn't it 100? It was like constantly like trying to push and push. I wanted to like get that approval. And then with my dad, like, I love him, but he's not very affectionate, and like things I like to get really deep. Like I just had a New York Times essay. The way my dad emailed me, he didn't even say like proud of you or anything. It was like the way it was like emailed up to me about, it was just like not, like, I don't know. For me, it's like, and I kind of like had a therapy session about that. Wow, I'm really getting real deep here. And I was like, is there never gonna be anything that's gonna be enough for him to like say that? Psychologically, that's what it is. I also think because my dad is fairly successful, I think that's also always been kind of put on a pedestal within my family. I've seen the way that my family kind of puts that on a pedestal, and so I've always seen career as like something that's a way to measure your self-worth and value. I'm also just like passionate about it. Like, I don't know. I think it's just like the one thing I'm good at, and so it's a mix of all of that and like always wanting more. Maybe I'm greedy. That's it.
Okay, wow.
Okay.
You did it. We're enough with these questions now. But there's the last phase, I mean.
Oh, yes.
With this one.
One more.
Okay.
Pass me the jar.
Oh.
You need to, this is the big one. It's level 3.
Okay.
You look so scared.
What is level 3?
There's actually not a jar with questions here.
What?
We have a clip that we'd like to show you and for you to watch, and then we have a few follow-up questions on it.
Oh my god. Okay.
If it's too intense, you don't want to watch it.
Okay.
Okay?
Oh boy,
Yeah,
I already
okay.
know.
This is all I ever wanted. And why the fuck am I so fucking unhappy? It doesn't make any fucking sense. You know what I mean? Because, like, this is living my fucking dream. And I'm fucking so unfucking happy. It doesn't make any fucking sense.
You were crying. Damn, it's been a while since I watched that. It's like I don't even recognize the person, you know? It's like really, really disorienting.
Sorry that...
No, it's okay.
Like,
I love
feel
it.
like I'm holding my breath because when I watch that, I also feel like I could be watching myself.
Yeah.
And it's like, this is where I'm at right now, and it feels really raw.
Feel free to cry.
Yeah, I guess the question is, like, what does it make you feel watching that?
I just feel like it feels like I've spent the past year or two trying to like block out what that year made me feel. Like that was 2018, like kind of the peak of like everything just happening for me with YouTube, because it was really traumatic. And I mean, it's like, I think there's just a lot of feelings it brings up. It makes me feel like, I think the first thing is like, why am I able to watch that? Why is so many people able to watch that? Why has like, this is what I mean by Black Mirror. Like that's like a very, very dark day. A very dark day, which I actually don't remember. I remembered like the afternoon of that. That was the morning, and I was like drunk. But that's like my choice. As a teenager, I posted that, you know, and it was my release, like being so vulnerable online. And I think the biggest lesson I learned through YouTube was not everyone deserves your vulnerability. My memory's been really bad, and I think it's because of how traumatic that year was, and I don't want to remember it, so I'm very forward, and I try not to think too much about it, which is weird. I don't know if that's good. I've been talking about that in therapy.
If you could go back to that moment right now as the Elle that's sitting on this couch, is there something you would want to tell to that version of Elle?
I think she just needed a hug, honestly. If I had the chance to go back, I wouldn't change anything. The New York Times essay wouldn't have happened if that wasn't for that day. Every day, I'm prouder of who I am, and I think if I didn't go through all of that, I feel much more calm and wiser.
In that video, you know, you're talking about how you've achieved everything you wanted, but then, you know, what you were expecting it to be was not actually the reality. So what was the thing that for you surprised you the most negatively, that you were expecting would happen when you achieved, you know, all that fame on YouTube?
Mm-hmm. I think what surprised me was the side you don't see from the outside, which is that pressure, that anxiety, that dread of keeping it going. How do I keep up with the algorithm? How do I keep up with just like how fast the YouTube world is? Making your life so public and being vulnerable online, like to a camera, but then having that translate to like meet and greets and like interviews, and you know, the anxiety that it caused. Like I experienced my first panic attack on like a YouTube tour. I guess the resentment it caused in my relationships, everything. It's just like, there were so many things I could not have ever imagined would have happened through YouTube.
Do you feel happy now?
I feel like happy is a fleeting feeling. So I feel very content with my life. I feel like I think something I need to work on, and I'm getting better at it, is I'm always wanting more. I'm always looking to the future. I feel like I've been trying to practice more gratitude, because I'm like, there's so many good things in my life. I have a beautiful girlfriend. I love my place. I have great people in my life. I have a real shot at my dream career. I think it took me this year to really be proud of is my YouTube career. I had a great YouTube career, and I'm very proud of what I did. I have my days. This week was my week. I had a week, But yesterday, honestly, I had a meeting with the colorist, and he was so nice. He was just so nice, and it made my day. I was like, you know what? They're great people, and life is good, and there are great moments.
Do you think that Elle would be proud of the Elle that you've become today?
Yes. She'd be a little tripped out, as anyone would, I guess. This didn't go as well as I had planned. When I see that Elle, it's very, like, life is so crazy and life is so much and everything feels like it's falling apart. And through therapy, I've been able to just feel more at peace and confident of who I am now and look back at that chapter of my life fondly. I finally have reached this sense of it's all gonna be fine. It's just for now. This is just a phase.
Yeah, it's definitely something I really admire because it's something I'm working on as well now. And just every time I meet someone who's gone through something that I feel is similar to what I'm going through, like with my mental health and stuff, and just to see you be more positive and more calm is always reassuring. It is a mentally draining career. I don't think I've ever met one person who's done this career who hasn't felt what you and I and you feel. So, guys! Thank you for having me. This is very therapeutic. I appreciate it. I'll tell my therapist about this.
All right, I'm gonna stop this.
Yeah, damn, I didn't expect to cry. Damn.